explain to the viewers, we'll see the latter part of the top 20 first, and then the top 10 drivers in reverse order. The first two, there's Gwyndaf Evans in the Seat World Rally car, 7th here in 1994, very popular, especially in Wales, and alongside him, somebody else who loves racing in this country, Armin Schwarz, who won here in 1996 when it was a non-World Championship event. That's in the red car, Gwyndaf in the yellow car, and Gwyndaf off to a flyer, Tiff.
Tremendous start. I'm sure all the crowd here going to be talking. Gwyndaf's so popular in this country. He's mainly been rallying in Britain with front-wheel drive cars. This really is opportunity to go four-wheel drive. He's launched the Seat ahead of Schwarz's Escort, and hear the horns going. Go on, Gwyndaf. He's got very wide on that tight hairpin, losing a little bit of time, but tremendous. He's had problems, of course. He's what, about 29th overall, Gwyndaf now, having had problems this morning, but he's fighting back as only Gwyndaf over that jump.
Gwyndaf has gone extremely quickly, but Armin Schwarz seemed to be all over the place going around that first hairpin. It was very sludgy last year when they went round. A lot of mud. It's a lot drier this year. Lovely shot there of Gwyndaf coming towards us. Split time for Gwyndaf at 43.5. And where is Armin Schwarz? Well, he's all over the place. 50.4 seconds for Schwarz, so that's 7 seconds. He's not going to catch him, is he?
No, no way. First blood of the day on our little special circuit is going to go to Gwyndaf, which is going to be a very popular result. As long as he keeps it neat and tight. See how wet the road gets. You say it's dry, but of course the water splash is going to take more and more water through as other competitors come through. Gwyndaf now about to go under the bridge to come round with only another couple of corners to set the pace. And of course, the race doesn't really matter that much in the overall picture. Who wins doesn't count. It's the time that each individual competitor sets that is added to their overall rally position. So the time matters most, the racing, just a bit of fun and pride as Gwyndaf wins.
And the time for Gwyndaf is 1:29. That's considerably quicker than they were going around here last year. And Armin Schwarz, well, he's made up a little bit, 6.3 seconds down. That won't please him. Armin Schwarz was 15th overall before this stage. Gwyndaf was 29th. I suspect the positions may alter just a little bit. And there's Gwyndaf Evans. He's enjoyed himself.
Yep.
I think he's had a good round. He's now with Mark Fogarty.
Well, Gwyndaf, no problems there, but a few problems so far. How's it been? What's been going wrong?
Unfortunately, the rear prop shaft broke on the start of Silverstone before, so we lost 2 minutes. But we're learning all the time with the car, and the car's all the time getting better. So there's some positiveness from the badness.
Okay, well, out of the running, but definitely a high-speed classroom. Thanks, Gwyndaf.
And here's the second pairing. Gregoire de Mevius in the blue car. He's from Belgium in a Subaru Impreza, which Tiff knows all about. We'll explain that a little bit more in a moment. I think you've driven it. And there's our friend Krzysztof Holowczyc from Poland, the man who had the opportunity to become a stunt car driver in Hollywood once upon a time. Tell us about Gregoire's car, because you know this.
Of course, that's the car I drove in the rally preview that you may have seen yesterday, and with Tony Mason alongside. I was scaring poor old Tony, and he's not quite up to these modern rally cars. The red light's on, ready for another 2 laps, and de Mevius makes a better start from the outside. Holowczyc lagging behind. Again, we see 2 apart on the first corner.
De Mevius is going very well. He's in the top 10 at the start of this stage, and Holowczyc is in 11th position. So, I don't know, it should be fairly equal cars, aren't they?
Of course, well, in a way, these are teammates. Both these drivers, these cars prepared by the Subaru Works team. It's called the Subaru All-Stars team, not the actual factory entries, but they are running from the same stable, so they're very, very even cars. Fabulous machines, four-wheel drive. They've got these active differentials that change the grip from the front to the rear all the time, constantly. And Holowczyc now has got it. He had a slow start, but this is how they should be at the end of each lap, with the outer lane slightly ahead. Can de Mevius catch? We'll wait and see.
Holowczyc 45.7 and de Mevius 47.2. That means both of them are slower than the quickest time so far, which was Gwyndaf Evans, 43.5. But whilst it's interesting to see that Gwyndaf is the quickest through, in the overall pattern of the rally, it's not going to make a fantastic amount of difference. And oh dear, Gregoire into the tyre wall, going round the inner hairpin there.
I think both these Subaru All-Stars have made a bit of a mess of this, as you say. Halfway round that split time, Holowczyc was 2 seconds slower than Gwyndaf in the same lane. But now coming under and over, these two are going to be very close as they come towards the finish. Holowczyc is now on the inside, de Mevius on the outside, the longer line. But it's going to be Gregoire de Mevius to take the little race win, but set a time that is only, it goes second quickest, quicker than Schwarz, but slower than Evans.
Interestingly enough, of course, this year they are timing rally stages to 1/10 of seconds. Last year it was just whole seconds, but now 1/10 of seconds, so it will make it much, much quicker. Let's have a look around the hairpin, Tiff.
Yes, they're both struggling for grip. Gregoire got in a bit deep and went out wide, clipped the rear, the buffer of earth, and that really just takes all the speed out. It's so important to keep on the grippy bit in the middle. As soon as you get out into the dusty buffer, you lose so much traction and time. But spectacular stuff as ever on our Silverstone special stage.
Here we are now, the next pairing. And there is the Vauxhall Astra of Jarmo Kytolehto. I always think of him as one of the young Finns, but he's now actually 37 years old. He's done a lot of development on this Vauxhall Astra in the British Championship this year, so he knows this event. And there is the champion of Britain, Martin Rowe.
Of course, yes, these two in the Formula 2 cars. The first, the F2 front-wheel drive only, these, as we saw in the British Championship. And in fact, Kytolehto is leading he's 16th overall and leading the Formula 2 class at the moment. Martin Rowe, our British champion this year, he's only 6th at the moment in the F2 class, 28th overall. But I'm sure Martin will be looking to put on a good show in front of the TV cameras. And these two neck and neck, front-wheel drive. They won't be able to get the same sort of grip as those four-wheel drive, but still very, very quick indeed.
And also to point out that driving with Martin Rowe is Derek Ringer, who rally fans will remember, of course, co-drove Colin McRae when he won his World Championship. So he's a very, very experienced co-driver.
Yes, doubtless Derek will be calling out the pace notes. They're not really needed around this stage. The drivers virtually know where they're going, but still the co-driver will be calling the pace notes they've written when they recceed it during the week. But Martin Rowe, all flying nose heavy. The front-wheel drive cars flying a bit nose heavy off that ladder. It'll be a nasty clout, but he looks like he's put out a big lead. Let's just see now how the split compares with the four-wheel drive. Martin Rowe's splits starting at least 3 seconds slow. See how much extra traction the four-wheel drive gets. But Kytolehto a full 4 seconds behind. I can't see him catching at all.
Martin Rowe from the Isle of Man, and very anxious to impress. It's important for the drivers coming up behind people like Colin McRae and Richard Burns to prove to the manufacturers and the audience that they are very good drivers. There's that tight hairpin on the inside again, this time for Kytolehto going round. There's Martin Rowe, very proud to have won the British Championship this year. Looks a nice car, doesn't it?
Martin goes under, and Jarmo not even in the picture going over the bridge. I think Martin's going to definitely win the pride of the fastest Formula 2 time to be set. Laukkanen catching very fast indeed, but it's going to be Martin Rowe that sets the Formula 2 pace at 1:33.6, and fourth quick, actually quicker than Armin Schwarz. So Schwarz has had the worst time so far, but Martin Rowe sets the Formula 2 pace.
Gwyndaf still the quickest going round here, Martin Rowe the fourth quickest, so he'll be very pleased with that. There's just having a little look of Martin coming to the first hairpin. Do like the look of that car, that Renault Maxi Megane.
They're very aggressive, these modern Formula 2 cars. They allow these wings on the back, and very high-tech, high-spec. But over now to Martin Rowe, I think, being interviewed by Mark Fogarty.
British Rally champion Martin Rowe. Martin, that was a pretty easy win, but it doesn't seem that things have been so easy for you so far.
No, I mean, always today it's a compromise and a bit of a gamble with tyres, and earlier on we took some very soft tarmac tyres, and unfortunately they were a bit too soft, so on the circuit track here, the stages 3 and 4, we lost quite a bit of time, so we'll just get through today and then push hard tomorrow.
Is this win a good sign? Is it going to get better?
Hopefully.
Okay, thanks Martin.
So Kenneth Eriksson in car number 20, nearest to us. Next to him, Gilles Panizzi. Panizzi, an expert on the tarmac, not on the gravel. And Kenneth Eriksson, who was Colin McRae's teammate in the Subaru, now driving by Hyundai. Hyundai making a real effort in World Rally Championship. He'll spearhead their challenge next year alongside Alistair McRae. They hope to have their World Rally Championship car ready by mid-season. And a nice wave from Gilles Panizzi, driving an Impreza, Subaru Impreza, but he'll be in, of course, the Peugeot 206. And Panizzi is learning English, Tiff, but he's learning it in Glasgow.
That's unlikely. They don't sound very French, are the Panizzi brothers, of course, and of course they're in the production, the third of the 3 main classes. They're ranked 4th overall in the Group N, the more standard Subaru class, and Eriksson in the Formula 2 car. So they're 2 different classes here going head-to-head, but certainly Panizzi has made a very good start on that inside line.
Wouldn't expect that, really. You'd expect Eriksson to have got off the blocks a bit quicker than that.
Well, again, of course, the production cars, they've got the four-wheel drives, they've got the track, she's gone very wide, they don't have racing gearboxes, they're slightly limited compared to the World Rally cars, so they're a lot slower. But Panizzi really here to gain experience for his world aspirations with Peugeot next year, and doing a great job, 4th overall so far in the production class.
I'm very suspicious about him learning English in Glasgow, maybe so that he can talk to Colin McRae next season. I don't know and understand him. It shows how international the sport's becoming as they go around the hairpin. And just right in front of us, Gilles Panizzi, and there's Kenneth Eriksson going right round in front of us, and the split times show you that Panizzi is much quicker than Kenneth Eriksson.
But interesting, yeah, Eriksson's time not as good as Martin Rowe on the split, quicker than Kytolehto, so Eriksson is Hyundai that has really been coming on in leaps and bounds in this year in the Formula 2 cars. They've been developing it very fast. Eriksson, of course, a former Subaru team member in the World Rally cars, gone very wide at that tight hairpin, lost a lot of traction on the way out. So much harder in these front-wheel drive cars to find traction. Panizzi now coming round the outside to go under the bridge. These two, as I said, in different class, but still the pride of winning. I think Panizzi's got the inside line for the last corner. Eriksson in the Formula 2 car going the long way around. I think Panizzi's going to win this one.
It's going to be close, this. And Panizzi just beats Kenneth Eriksson. That was a heck of a second lap from Kenneth Eriksson because he was miles behind when they went into there. And Panizzi actually comes 5th equal. He's at level with Jarmo Kytolehto, and Kenneth Eriksson is in 7th place. And there's Kenneth Eriksson. We'll be pleased with the second part of his run.
Here we come over our jump off the bridge. Those Formula 2 cars, they sort of nosedive down towards the ground. And it's amazing how much it does. I had that Peugeot yesterday, the landing was so much, it knocked the windscreen wipers off. So these cars need to be built tough.
There is a sign, isn't there, Tiff, as you go over that bridge? I saw it yesterday, which says danger, steep drop or something. But somebody was telling me this morning it doesn't matter for the main drivers because they're flying through the air and they can't see it when they go over. So there's a recap of the top 6. Gwyndaf Evans still in the lead. Martin Rowe, the champion of Britain, in 4th place. And Gilles Panizzi, who we've just seen, 5th equal with Jarmo Kytolehto. So now the next pair. Car number 25 on the far side, the Renault of Tapio Laukkanen. And nearest to us, car 24, another Finnish driver, so many of them, Sebastian Lindholm with Jukka Aho. They were in Australia, where they finished 10th.
And of course, 10th overall is Sebastian's place at the moment. He's going very well so far this morning. Here, another Formula 2 car, Tapio Laukkanen, another one who did the British Championship for Renault, Martin Rowe's teammate this year. And Tapio at the moment 4th in the Formula 2 class, down in 25th overall. So he'll be looking to beat our quickest Formula 2 time, which at the moment is set by Martin Rowe, 1 minute 33.6. So head-to-head, waiting for the light to go off, and away they go. Again, the 4-wheel drive World Rally car gets that traction down to the outside, into the first corner, head-to-head.
Tapio Laukkanen's had a very disappointing season for him. He's been consistently the quickest in the British Championship, but he's had so many technical problems. The car's had mechanical trouble right the way through the year. But he seems to be enjoying himself this afternoon. He's 19th overall with his co-driver Kaj Lindström. And here he is going round the inside. I do like those Renault, though.
Over that jump, front-wheel drive, nose down. He's done one big jump. Of course, he's got the second jump to do. As he comes round, as he is ahead, he's done a very good lap, because I think he's only got front-wheel drive, but he's still ahead of Lindholm as they go into the second lap. 47
seconds for Laukkanen. It's still off the pace of Gwyndaf Evans.
But just 0.2 down on the split to Martin Rowe, so Laukkanen very much on the pace of his Renault teammate.
And that's important, isn't it? You always say that your biggest opponent is your teammate, and if you can beat your teammate. And that's what you were saying earlier on, just seeing the water coming off the tyres as they come through that water splash. It's an awful lot drier than it was last year. It started foggy here last year. Conditions in November in Britain, pretty well ideal, I would reckon.
But tremendous conditions for the RAC Rally at the moment, the network queue. But Lindholm now has got well ahead on that second lap. He's going to come round. He's going to win this little race. He's going to set the clocks a time of 31.4, which puts him to 4th overall so far. Whereas Kytolehto just failed to beat Martin Rowe's teammate. In fact, he did a 34.6. He was a second slower than Martin Rowe, but goes second in the Formula 2 class round our Silverstone rally sprint.
Now, to explain We are going to the top 10 drivers. Tommy Mäkinen, of course, no longer with us. He's out of the event, retired this morning after hitting an oil patch and then a concrete block and removing his back wheel. Let's have a look at the Renault again. And we are now going to take the top 10 in reverse order. There's the Renault, there's that water coming off the wheels again.
Getting very, very slippery, because that's at the top hairpin where there is a little bit of tarmac for the drivers to try and get some grip around, but it's now becoming very, very slippery, a mix of dust and dirt and water taking the water splash into the hairpin.
So now we are down into the top 10 drivers. And Ari Vatanen, well, what can you say about Ari Vatanen? Driving the Subaru this time, he's 13th overall so far, world champion as long ago as 1981. He's won here in 84. He's been second here twice, and his co-driver, the lovely Fabrizia Pons, who normally co-drives for Piero Liati. She's a qualified architect, she's a rally navigator, a woman of many, many talents. And there's another of the Finnish drivers, Markus Gronholm in the Toyota, one of the new exciting Finns. We saw the Panizzis earlier on. He's going to be driving for Peugeot next season in the World Championship, really to give them experience of gravel driving, because the Panizzis, as we know, very good on the tarmac. Now, to explain the light, it will go on and it will go off between 2 and 4 seconds. There it goes now. We have Ari Vatanen on the right of your screen, Markus Gronholm on the left.
Now we're into the big boys. This is going to be very tight all the way around. Gronholm very keen to impress. He's having a fabulous rally so far, 6th overall at the moment, with Ari down in 13th. And Ari's got that all wrong, going out of the water. He's virtually spun it. He did what I said, you need to get it set up in the water and avoid those tyres on the left. Well, Ari didn't, and made a right Horlicks of that. So Gronholm's going to be the man that wins this little race at this rate, over the jump off the bridge. See how well those four-wheel drive cars seem to fly beautifully balanced in the air. Ari now is just on a damage limitation exercise as Gronholm comes around. Let's see how quick this split is going to be. A 43.3, and that's the quickest split we've had so far by 0.2 of a second. So Gronholm looks like setting a new pace to beat Gwyndaf off the top, but Ari has lost, what, 7 seconds or so with that moment after the water.
What did he do wrong, though, Tiff? I mean, he's such an experienced driver. Is it just a typical Vatanen, let's go for it, all-out effort? Because he's just such an aggressive driver, isn't he?
Ari's always, he's always in a mess again. Ari's having a bad hair day, I think. Ari, we all love him so much. He's been a real star of the rally scene. He's a very, very special character. And it's just lovely to see him out again. It's a shame he's probably embarrassing himself slightly in front of the crowds. But let's see how this man, Marcus, comes round. The final call on the inside. Are we going to have a new man at the top of our leaderboard? Indeed, we are. Gronholm goes quickest by 0.2 of a second. So Gwyndaf's time was very, very impressive, to be honest. Only beaten by just 0.2 by Gronholm.
And Ari Vatanen, the dust coming off the back of the car as he came round that corner, he was giving it everything towards the end. Did make up some time, but he made a right mess of the first part of it. And Markus Gronholm, the new leader, is Ari.
You see, as you go into the water, you almost need to kick the car to the right a bit. Otherwise, as you slide out, as he does, he catches those tyres right over the top of them on the exit. The car then almost got away from him, totally sideways up the bank, and he's now getting into the hairpin. He's recovered the incident, but he's made a right mess. I see there's also some damage on the rear right corner he must have done earlier today, and Ari's having a bit of a day.
Ari hit a pole coming off the starting ramp, I understand. So he really is having a bad day, isn't he? He gave it all towards the end. Poor old Ari. Now, the sound of the bagpipes you might have heard earlier on. Martin Hewins, who follows the McRae brothers, so that will tell you that Alistair's about to come onto the Super Special. But against him, Harry Rovanpera in the Seat World Rally car. 3 Formula 2 wins this season, and there's Alistair, 3rd overall at the moment in the Subaru, and he will be in Hyundai next year with Kenneth Eriksson in the World Championships.
Yeah, it's great to see Alistair out of the World Rally. We've got so much good talent. Martin Rowe, Gwyndaf Evans, they're all there. Derek Higgins, of course, and they're off at the start. Lights go away, and Alistair's made the start ahead of Rovanpera. Of course, Rovanpera, great talent in Formula 2. He's come up through the Formula 2 ranks with Seat, and he's also a shining star of the future. But McRae's going to, I believe, set a new pace here. Alistair really looking forward to moving up into the world ranks. Is there a possibility, Tiff, that we could see a British 1, 2, 3 in this year's Network Q Rally of Great Britain with Richard Burns, Colin and Alistair McRae, especially now that Tommy Mäkinen is so unfortunately out of the event? Well, the interesting thing, you've got people like Alistair is what Carlos Sainz has got to worry about, because Alistair gets up into those top 3. Remember, Sainz has to finish 4th overall, and with obviously Richard Burns will be doing everything to help his teammate Tommy Mäkinen. He'll be looking to get ahead. Alistair now sets a split of 43.4, not the quickest, not as quick as Gronholm, equal to Evans. And I see there Rovanpera also 0.8 down on the split.
It just shows how well Gwyndaf Evans went at the very start of all this, considering the problems he had earlier on. The big lift you'll see from Harry Rovanpera going over the jump at the back. And Rovanpera taking the inside line, missing the tyres, kicking up a lot of dust as he goes round there. And there's Alistair, so smooth. He won F2 here last year in the Rally of Great Britain in the Volkswagen, then was disqualified. Desperate to do well. Rovanpera going over the jump.
Question is, can Alistair get this on this last lap? Always very sideways around the inside. No, he misses out by 0.1 of a second. So Alistair let me down, didn't set the pace, goes second, gets between Gronholm and Evans. And as I said, looking forward to Alistair going up. And of course, it's Mark Higgins was the name I was struggling for. Another British champion looking to go up. Martin Rowe. There's so many good young British drivers, and we hope to see them in the World Series next year.
There is Alistair. And let's have a quick look at the top 6. Marcus Gronholm leading. Alistair in 2nd place, 10th of a second behind. Gwyndaf Evans in 3rd. And the next 2 drivers, car number 8, Bruno Thiry in the Ford. He'll be driving for Subaru next season. 7th overall at the moment from Belgium in the Ford Escort World Rally Car. The last event for the poor old Escort. A lot of people will be sad to see that. And there is Richard Burns in the Mitsubishi. He too going to Subaru as their team leader next season. 8th overall at the moment. Won his first World Championship event this year on Safari. And remember, when the red light comes on, 2 to 4 seconds, and they're off, holding them a little bit longer than previously there. And Richard Burns in the red car. Now on your right-hand side, there he is with Robert Reed.
Go on now, Burnsy. Let's have it, Burnsy. I don't know, he's had some small problems, obviously, this morning to be down in what, 8th overall, but Richard, just such a nice character and beautifully round there. He kept it away from that outside edge and got the traction down. But I think everybody would love to see Richard Burns going head-to-head with Colin McRae for a real world title assault next year for Subaru. Over that bridge, a bit heavy landing there for the Mitsubishi as they come up towards the end of the first lap.
The thing for Richard, of course, now Tommy Mäkinen is out of the event. No team orders will apply as Richard goes a 10th of a second slower than Marcus Gronholm. Now Tommy Mäkinen's out of the event.
But Thiry quick is so far in the outside lane starting. So Thiry's set a new pace for the split, starting in the outside in that lane 1. So Thiry is also a man on a mission and going very, very quickly indeed. Now they're almost neck to neck round this tight area. Of course, Thiry's tighter. Burnsy's gone a bit wide. Burnsy gets ahead slightly, but he's now going to go the long way around to get under the bridge. Bruno's going to be going across the top of his roof. So as Burnsy goes under, Thiry goes over. This is going to be the tightest race I think we've had so far as they come down into the final corner. Thiry is the one quickest. They're side by side at the final corner. Thiry's wide. Burnsy's got the narrow inside line and sets a new pace. Tremendous from Richard.
Excellent drive from Richard Burns there. And as we mentioned, no team orders now. Mäkinen's out. Richard Burns can really go for this event. So he's done absolutely splendid run. Here he is coming round on the inside with Bruno Thiry on the outside and Burnsy just winning it. But that's enough. New leader Richard Burns. Alistair McRae 3rd. Gwyndaf Evans is 4th. Mark Fogarty is with Richard Burns, I hear.
Richard, strong performance there, but I guess you'd rather be up in the overall standings fighting with Colin McRae for the outright lead in this rally.
Yeah, I mean, after the time we lost earlier on, it's not too bad at the moment. We've just really got to keep in touch over the next few stages, Silverstone and Donington, and we'll save our push for tomorrow.
So you're still pretty confident of catching up?
Yeah, it's still possible for sure. We haven't lost too much time.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
So now the next pair, car number 7. Well, what can you say? 4 times world champion, the great Juha Kankkunen with Juha Repo. Won here 3 times. And there's Didier Auriol, world champion back in 1994. Won here won in Catalonia this year. Not a particularly good record in Britain, finished 5th back in 1990. And in all the drivers swapping over, Kankkunen, this is his last drive for Ford. He goes to Subaru next year. There go the lights. Auriol on the left, Kankkunen on the right.
It's interesting, I noticed now that the fastest 4 times have all been set by people who started on that inside line. So Didier Auriol looks like he's starting from the favourite gate. Juha Kankkunen is on the catch-up on the outside, but it's interesting the quickest time set for the people starting on that inside lane. Kankkunen, all the big power slide, oversteer. Auriol's such an aggressive driver, always works the car very hard as he comes over the bridge now to leap the jump. And I think that's got the distance record so far, Didier. Well done. And obviously in the lead now, and I think that lead looks a very big one. So I think we're looking for a very, very quick split here. 43.4, the pace to beat equals no 0.1 down on the best, of course, was Gronholm, who's second overall. But look at that, a better split time set by Kankkunen in the other lane.
Why is that then, Tiff? Why should it be that the times are working out that way?
I think it's probably just chance, but I always think that first run into the first corner, Didier had the inside line. I think you get, oh no, he's made a monkey's mess of that though. He's got it all wrong at the very, very tight hairpin. And Kankkunen's catching fast. I think Auriol might just win. This is going to be very, very close again. Auriol regains the composure under the bridge as Kankkunen is over the bridge.
I don't know.
Neck and neck again.
I thought we were going to have a real technical reason for this, and you say it's just chance. Here they are, head to, oh, this is going to be a very, very close finish. Either a dead heat. Must have been a dead heat. Yes, exactly the same time. And we have new joint leaders.
The same time, but a full 0.7 quicker than Bernsey. So those two are very, very quick. They set new paces in both lanes, and Kankkunen's ruined my run of inside lanes. Here we see down the hairpin, and Auriol just got so wide, lost a lot of grip and traction, and yet still set the quickest time.
It is very bumpy around there, though, isn't it, Tiff? They've kept some of the potholes in to make it a more realistic rally stage. And you can see as he went round there, he really clipped himself. So that's the top 6 changing again. Didier Auriol and Juha Kankkunen dead level. And Richard Burns in 3rd place. Which leaves us with the last two. The two men at the top of the leaderboard. In 2nd place is Carlos Sainz, but there's the leader, Colin McRae, and alongside him, nearest to us, is Nicky Grist. And there is Carlos Sainz, the man who could well become world champion now.
He must be a nervous man, though, but he's got to pace himself. This whole thing now, he's got to try and keep a steady pace, and yet at the same time, he's got to make sure he stays in the top 4. And as I said, there's still some very, very quick people in this rally, so Carlos has almost to forget the fact that Tommy's out of the rally. The lights changed. It's Spain versus Scotland, neck and neck into the first corner.
Carlos has seen it all before, though, hasn't he, Tiff? He's a very, very experienced driver. He's a former world champion. He's won this event a couple of times. He knows what it's all about. But I reckon that Colin McRae can win this event simply because the pressure's off. He isn't going for the world champion. He knows it's his last event for Subaru before he goes to that $10 million move to Ford for next season. So I would fancy Colin McRae to win the event. And there's Carlos over the jump. And there's Colin.
Come on, Colin, sort him out. But the Carlos has got a big lead as they come round to finish. We'll have a look at the split. Carlos sets a new pace by half a second quicker than anyone starting in that lane before, as well as Colin's actually slower than, I think it was Kankkunen that set the pace for the outside lane start. So Colin not quite on the pace, but Carlos setting a new pace by half a second. I can't see Monsieur McRae catching on this one.
It's not going to alter the top of the leaderboard because Colin McRae is in the lead, but you just think, you know, you're Carlos Sainz, you're going for the world champion, you come here and you discover that the only man who can beat you for the world championship is out of the event. Takes the pressure right off you. He and Luis Moya can go out and enjoy themselves, and I'm sure they will. Carlos, one of the few drivers who says he genuinely enjoys the first day of the Network Q. Here they are, head-to-head. Who's going to take it? Carlos Sainz just, and the time, well, by 0.3 of a second. And there's David Richards, Colin McRae's team boss at ProDrive.
Yeah, McRae there did a great second lap because he almost caught up, and in fact the difference, he goes second quickest in our Silverstone special stage, but misses out by 0.2, and Carlos Sainz is our quickest man.
Here they go, over the jump, Colin McRae. Very aggressive driver, probably the most aggressive driver in the world at the moment, I don't know. Colin and Carlos over the line. Here's Mark Fogarty with Carlos Sainz.
The motoring matador, Carlos Sainz. Carlos, with Tommy Mäkinen out, basically you just have to keep going. You must feel really comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, we will see. We have to try to keep pushing.
Okay. Carlos Sainz, he's in a hurry already. Colin McRae, of course, is the man who's dominating this event so far. With Colin McRae. Colin, well, you narrowly pipped there, but so far it's the only time anyone's got a look in. You are really storming away with this rally.
Yeah, it's going reasonably well. It's very difficult in these stages, though. It's not really a big telltale. Tomorrow's is going to be totally different.
You're obviously running hot, though. You're a man on a mission.
Well, we've got nothing to lose.
You must be gutted, though. I mean, the championship now, it looks like falling to Sainz. If only you hadn't had that problem right at the end of Australia, you'd be battling with him for the title.
Yeah, well, that's gone. That's in the past.
Okay. There he is, Colin McRae, looking ahead to dominating and winning this rally.
Thanks very much, Mark. There's the top 6 then at the end of stage 7. Carlos Sainz, the man who looks like he could be world champion, the fastest round here at Silverstone. Colin McRae second fastest, then Didier Auriol and Juha Kankkunen dead level, Richard Burns in 5th and Marcus Gronholm in 6th place. Well, very exciting. They seem to have the hang of it this year. Lots of incident, but plenty of stages yet to go here on the Rally of Great Britain.
So Sainz at